My name's Charles Ainger. I'm from the UK. I'm semi-retired, but I have two current roles. One is as consultant to MWH on sustainability and climate change, and another one is a visiting professor role at Cambridge University, where I'm dealing in master's teaching in the same area, the same sector. I have started perhaps 10 years ago spending time on advocating about those issues, but experience has shown me that now that people are generally up to speed with that, we find it's really difficult to do it in practice. I'm particularly interested in the how issue of how innovation and change can take place in business and in society to meet those demands. I think there are several different kinds of incentives for innovation. The traditional ones are rewards and money and awards and recognition, but I think there's a more fundamental one, which is when employees and people in organizations make an emotional connection with the purpose and role of their organization in the wider society. And if they can do that, I find that they're continually looking for new ideas that would better serve that role and purpose and want to bring them into the organization. And that creates an energy for innovation, I think, that otherwise might not be there. I can give perhaps two examples of that bottom-up process. At MWH, in my own personal experience, much of the early drive for sustainability ideas and methodologies into our business came from a group of interested employees at all levels in the company who got together to start generating useful material and feeding it into the company. A second example is IBM, the international computer company, who no longer make mainframe computers and are now a pure internet consulting business. And that change took place in the late 90s, initiated by an individual programmer right at the bottom of the company who could see the internet coming when the rest of the company couldn't, and with a group of colleagues and carefully nurtured by a few senior people, generated, I think, what the Americans would call a skunk works exercise to start developing that capability and gradually brought it into the company. It's a classic story of originally bottom-up driven change initiated by people in the company who really wanted their company to be a leader in this new sector. Quite often I'm asked how do you generate the space and the interest to allow that creativity to take place in organizations. And clearly in some sectors, recruits can see the potential already in the organization, and that's why they join it. And in other sectors, it may be less obvious. Let's say in banking, that many banks now want environmental issues to be taken seriously. And so the challenge is for the company to make that explicit, encourage such recruits with those interests, and then to provide a space in which that creativity and innovation can be allowed to express itself at work in what they actually do within the organization of the company. So a question that's often asked is, how can one measure the return on investment in this kind of area? And I think there are two ways of thinking about that. The first one is the opportunity, in which one measures the output of, say, new ideas or new services in any one year, and you can track how far this approach of creativity has generated new business. In addition to the opportunity for new business, there is another bigger underlying message, I think. And if I have one thing to say about this in particular, it seems that the innovative energy that is available to companies that structure this right is very large, but there is a big risk to human capital, often some of the best people in the company perhaps leaving, if they don't find space to express this and develop it for the purpose of the business and the company. So one question is, how can you identify such innovative people? And at recruitment, certainly, the answer would be that any candidate who is, when they're allowed to ask questions, is asking these wider questions about the role of the company in the wider world and its social and wider purpose, and any slogans that the company has about its purpose in the world and its values, i.e. questions that lie outside the immediate definition of the job. Those are the people who are most likely to bring this creative energy to innovating within the company. Of course, once such recruits are inside the company, then their continued question will be whether the company is walking the talk and whether they gain opportunities to be innovative and question the way the company does things and suggest new ways of doing it. And that will naturally come to management attention, and we need to acknowledge a certain tension between management's wish to get the everyday job done and the fact that these people will have a questioning role and will need to be listened to and allowed space to be innovative. So if we go back to reminding ourselves of the scale of these sustainability challenges, it seems that business as usual is really not an option. And so how companies can be more innovative is a vital part of their future. And my message is that the energy of their employees and the creativity of their employees, driven by this passionate interest in the role of the organization in society and how they can help society become more sustainable, is the best talent reserve that they have for this process. So as companies find ways to harness that creative energy for innovation from their employees, that is their best driver for long-term sustainable business. Apple Computer said it very well: the best way to predict the future is to invent it. I'm Charles Ainger. Thanks for listening.